the completion of this graduation requirement, the thesis writing. Okay, now this actually is given you so that you will be able to write the final manuscript. I know that all of you have undergone your proposal defense, and the next appearance you will have with our experts will be the final defense. Your final defense will determine whether you will be able to complete this requirement. So I am here, presenting some details about how you will be able to complete the manuscript for a presentation for the last, defense that you will have. So before we begin, let us have first a short prayer that will be led as requested by our chairman of PSED, program chairman, Ms. Rose Sanman. Ma'am.
Okay, good morning. Let us bow our heads. Dear Lord and Father of all, thank you for today. Thank you for ways in which you provide for us all. For your protection and love, we thank you. Help us to focus our hearts and minds now on what we are about to learn. Inspire us by your Holy Spirit as we listen and write. Guide us by your eternal light as we discover more about this lecture and the world around us. We ask all this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, amen. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so actually, we do not have a formal program because this is just an ordinary lecture among you 14 students. But if our dean will come, then we'll hear an inspirational message from here. Meanwhile, let us begin. Okay, so far there are 29 of you. There are 32 of us. Three are faculty members. And may I request the leaders of each group, the leaders of BEd, BSEd, of different major areas, take the attendance and take also the pictures of the panel, our screen panel, to evidence the attendance of everyone. I consider this very important, and I hope that those who have not come are interested also and will be coming soon. This is writing, and my name is attached here. It does not mean I am the author of everything here. I just collected some from resources, and so I am here. This data is this. Okay, now let us see. Actually, people, this is the first time that I conduct this kind of lecture, and I hope that whatever problem you see, we'll work together to resolve. And any weaknesses, you may forgive me for my being not so knowledgeable about technology. But so far, I am here trying my best to extend this for, I believe, your sake. I am now turning to the second slide, but I cannot do it. So, unang-una ay ayaw pumasok. Kaya,
Ma'am, good morning po. Ano nga to? Ma'am, yung pong ano nga nila, attendance will be sent. Yung Google Form attendance. Google Form link will be sent later.
oo.
For their attendance.
Oo, sige. at the ano man, slide 2. Let us have slide 2 and people. All right, now. So, actually, people, you are now working for the final stage of your manuscript. And once you get the notes of your advisors, yeah, you will be ready for presentation. And your presentation will be graded according to this structure. This is how you are going to prepare yourselves. 5 minutes for your presentation. This is for final. 40 minutes for question and answer about what you will have presented. And then 5 minutes deliberation by panelists, advisor, and chairman. Now, in these 5 minutes, these people will be having the say analysis of what you will have presented, and will make their decisions whether you pass, whether you will have to repeat the presentation, or whether you fail. The total number is 60 minutes. So you have 1 hour to present your work and to see the, the judgment of the panel. Okay, where is the other slide? Okay, so this is a little bit different from what you had last time. You presented your proposal. Okay, now let's have this one. Now, actually, the first page is the cover page, and it's really exciting to have that page. But after that, you will have say the cover page, and then this page, title page, you know, right? In the title page, your title will be in a form of inverted pyramid. I will show you later, say the diagram of the title page. And then after that, you will have the approval sheet. Anyway, this was already presented you last time when you had your proposal. But this is not just proposal entitled like that, but this is already. And here, on the blank, you write your title all in capital letters and bold. And then your names here. And then your degree and okay, what degree, and then you write the date and see to it that you have the name of your advisor, the signature of your advisor, showing, affirming that you really are ready to say present your work and be judged. So you write here the panel that will, of course, you will know. So if there are only three, so disregard the last two, okay, and then and so on. Okay. All right. Next to that, actually, is your abstract. You are going to make an abstract. Now, this is a very short composition about your work. There are only 300 words, including the articles, the numbers. Okay, this is one page. Okay, now if you can make this on a page, that will do. You are going to use 1.5 line spacing for the body text. 1.5. No? So you have to set. Why is there? Now actually, we have here the content of the abstract. It will be in a narrative form, okay, without the graphs, the tables, okay, or references, composition ay equal to brief summary. Okay? Okay, so because why verb in the past tense? Because you are narrating your work that you finished. So the activities were already through, and naturally you are going to use the verb in the past tense. Of course, in the beginning you are going to write your names in the abstract, and then your names as researchers and your advisor's name. So you have here brief paragraph stating the research design, okay, your respondents, the technique. This can be given in 1 to 2 sentences. The statistics that you use, say in treating the data that you gather. The third paragraph will include the summary of the findings. Okay. Now, if there are 3 questions, there should be 3 findings. Okay. So for every question, there must be a finding. And then the fourth, say, paragraph is your suggestion for a recommendation. And in your recommendation, you have to be strong by stating the individuals or the organizations that will implement what you recommend for the solution of the problem that you studied. Are you listening, people?
Yes po,
Yes,
ma'am.
All right. Now, actually, in your presentation, you can have a summary of what you are going to present. This is the executive summary. All right. This is the format. Okay. So, uh, you will discuss your work by line like this. So you will start from your question number one. That is usually, of course, a descriptive question. Now, when there is, of course, no hypothesis, leave it blank. Okay? And then continue discussing for your number one by giving the what's this statistics. How did you solve the data or the information that you gather? And then the findings here for number one, conclusion for number one, recommendation for number one. So here in the recommendation, we have here the name of the people or the organization who may implement the recommendation for number one. And then you have your question number two, state it and discuss up until you reach the recommendation. For question number three, if okay, still descriptive, okay, discuss. And if you have only one inferential question, then that can maybe your number three or number four. And then, of course, because this is inferential, there is already that hypothesis. And you give your statistics, no, for this. And then the findings, the conclusion, and the recommendation. Okay, now, so you are going to summarize what you are going to present during our, say, our, what is that, final defense. Of course, before this, you are going to give your introduction, uh, not at once these ones. And the questions of the panel will be based on this because you have only how many 15 minutes to present, and this is the way how you can shorten your 1 year or 2 year or 1.5 year work. thesis work. And 40 minutes will be spent by your panelists in asking questions about this to verify whether you really did this and you understood very well your work. Okay? All right, now this time, final content of thesis. All right, so we have here our table of contents. Now, opposite each of these is the page number. So you are going to write here. So in your preliminaries, of course, you have your title page, approval sheet,
Ma'am,
even.
Ma'am
Yes, ma'am.
Isles,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
pa-excuse lang po saglit. Nagpapa-approve daw po nag-join daw po mga English majors.
Oh, sige,
Papa-approve
approve.
po.
May nasa, wala naman lumalabas dito.
Ay, wala po. Sige po, thank you, ma'am.
Oh, sige, basta pasok na lang sila ng pasok kung sila papapasukin.
Opo.
So, pinipindot yun para yung maramihan yan pumasok. Ba't ba
Wala.
nagsasabi?
Wala pong notification, ma'am. Sige po, thank you po.
Kasi isa-isang lumalabas dito ang mga pangalan eh. Di, sabi ko, admit, yan o. Ano, nagpapa-admit, baka man nahihiya.
Okay po. Sige po, ma'am. Thank you po.
Oo.
Tensya na po sa interruption.
It's okay. Maganda nga may interruption. Okay, so ayan na, nakuha na natin yung approval sheet, abstract, and itong acknowledgement. Alright, whom are you going to acknowledge? Okay, those people who really participated in your work. Okay, so say for instance, you will acknowledge the school where you got your respondents and your respondents, all these people that help you. Of course, your advisor, number one, the panelists that consider your work. Okay. Now your dedication is optional. But when you write your dedication, you are going to write formal English. Walang biruan dito. Huwag nyo ilalagay na this is dedicated to my future wife. Baka hindi yun na maging asawa ninyo, hindi nyo mapakita yan sa magiging asawa nyo. Uy, ano yun? Bakit tumalabaw? Ba't nawala? Introduction. Baka may oras yun. Okay, so we have here after this table of contents, and then because you have your tables, all right, you are going to write here, of course, your tables, your list of figures. Now, although you have only 5 tables, your list must be on a separate page, not after the parts, the last part of your table of contents. Although you have only a few figures or say graph like that, or pictures or drawing, you are going to put this on a separate page. So if your table of contents is for 2 pages, you will have another page for your say table of a list of tables, and another page for the list of figures. Okay, so we have here our chapter 1. Now you are going to write chapter here sa ibabaw. Chapter, all capital letters. And then your number 1 will be below. And then opposite is the title of the chapter. All capital letter. All capital letters. And then following this, when you form this, indented nyo nga ito. Yan, naka-indent na konti. Tapat sa T. So you will have your statement of the problem. Now, in your introduction, you write here mga 3 to 4 short paragraphs. 1 page will do for your introduction. You just indicate there the legal basis of your work, and of course, the source. And then after that, you will give the significance when this legal basis will be say implemented in your locality. Okay. All right. And then your next paragraph is stating the place where there is a very serious problem happening in a certain location, which you feel you are concerned. And then, of course, you will indicate in your introduction the dire need for a study in order to control the spread of the problem. So while the existing problem is within the control, think of how this will be resolved. And your last paragraph is the introduction of your study. Now, because of this existing problem, you conduct your study. Hence, your study is say your study aimed. So this time it will be in the past tense. Aimed to determine such and such. So you are going to say reword your SOP. No? SOP that you have there before your paradigm, before your specific questions. Yun ang ending noong introduction. And then next to that is, of course, meron naman tayo dito na okay, statement of the problem. Ito mga nakalagay dito sa ating, actually, this is taken from our handbook. Okay? Okay, statement of the problem, and then research framework. Okay. Significance of the study. Now, this significance of the study is different from the significance that you have there in your introduction. The significance of this study is the importance of your study to some people. So you have your specific problem, and this is affecting a group of people. So when you finish and you get a solution, the people that you are going to put here will be the ones that will benefit from your work. So your work is significant to these people. You get that? And then you give here the objectives of the study. Of course, this means what will you do as you go on answering the specific questions. In your statement of the problem, you will have here the specific questions. No? And then here in your research framework, you will have here your paradigm and your explanation. You will have here your research, okay, yung what do you call that, conceptual framework, like that, no? Andito yan. And then objectives, okay, and then hypothesis. All right, your hypothesis is a statement form of your inferential question. Usually the inferential question is constructed with, is there a significant difference like this and like that? Is there a relationship between this and that? Now, your hypothesis is the affirmative, the statement of statement converting your question. So there is no significant relationship between, or there is no significant difference. Okay. Now, usually the hypothesis is given in negative statement, because according to statisticians, negative hypothesis is easier to compute and to determine the statistics to be used. One time in our seminar, we asked this, why negative? And that was also the answer, and could not elaborate why. And then we have here the scope and limitation. All these were already seen during your proposal. But I know because the manuscripts of the students were given not say giving the panelists the time to read completely the manuscript. So I know many parts of the manuscripts during the proposal defense were not completely read by the panelists. So you have to say modify to perfect your manuscripts. You have to improve your proposal so that you would know what to carry on for your chapter 4, 5, and 5. All right. Now, there were many suggestions given when you defended your proposal. Okay? Now, all these suggestions and recommendations, changes recommended during the time should be fully, completely reflected in your proposal. Unless you understand what your proposal is, you will not be able to execute your plan. So, if you have not completely answered the suggestions given when you defended, do that. Finish your proposal, rewrite your proposal, and present this to your advisor. And your advisor will be confident that you already understand what to carry on so that you will be able to continue the the procedure, next steps.
Excuse me, Dr. Isles.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Dr. Isles?
Yes, sir.
Okay po, excuse me po. Ma'am, we have some people who really want to join us. Can you
Yes,
check your notification
I do not
button?
I do not see their names. I do not see their names. Usually, names appear and nakalagay reject or admit.
Is there a button that you need to press? Can you check it out, ma'am?
Okay, so I check. There is Ma'am Lajana. Okay, view all. Okay, this. So I can see Miss Manangkin. Admit all. Yan. Pasok
Okay.
na sila.
Okay. All of them, ma'am?
Ha?
All of them?
All of them. Because I saw a notification, admit all. So instead of isa-isahin ko yung mga sinamanangkil at saka kung sino-sino, ay yung admit all na inilagay. Kayong mga, okay, sige, Mr. Tanlioco, for your concern. Okay, now you look at these people. Why are you coming so late? What time is it now? Huh? Show that you really are interested. No? Do you know how much you miss when you get late? Unang-unang nakita kong late ay si Miss Manangkil. Marami pang iba. Huwag naman kayong gano'n, ha? Sa inyong, sanayin nyo yung sarili ninyo, coming on time, because you are to become teachers. You see, we teachers, okay, when we get late, there really is a very big reason. Pero mga estudyante, parang they are fond of coming late. Yan, ito mga English major, ang siyang nagdaratingan ngayon. Maigi naman at kayo dumarating, huli man daw at magaling, ay maigi rin. Oh, tingnan ninyo yan. Kaya, pero ninyo yan, kayo hindi kayo papasukan. Nakiusap kayo, merong bantay dyan. Okay, so, yes, do you have any question, students? Any points you like to clarify? Okay, no clarification? Okay, or you are doing something different from what we have here. Okay. So, dito sa scope and limitation, so is it understood, people, that you must have, say, considered the different suggestions, ha? At yan inyong gagawin. Buuin nyo muli ang inyong proposal para makita kung ang proposal ninyo ay siyang ang pinag-usapan na inyong gagawin bago kayo mag-research. Yang inyong gagawin diyan sa inyong proposal kung paano kayo kukuha ng data sa inyong mga respondents. Diyan pa lang ang simula ng inyong research. Ha? Pag hindi ninyo naintindihan yun, ay mali ang takbo ng inyong research. Okay, dito sa scope and limitations of this study. Now, your scope is your coverage. So, you are going to state here this who is your respondent. Yung mga ganon. What are you going to make them do? What will they do? Where? Taga saan sila? Okay. Okay, when? Kailan kayo pupunta? Okay? Yan yung mga scope, yung coverage. Ilan sila? Ano inyong itatanong? Not in details, ha? Kasi meron tayong chapter na magdi-details ng kung ano-ano itong mga nakalagay sa scope. Yung limitations ay you have here the reasons why you have this coverage. Why do you include 10 students only? Okay. Why do you say make a study in one small area, in one school only, in one community only? When the problem is felt in many places, when there are many students, many schools suffering from the difficulty that you are trying to resolve in your present study. So you have there the limitations. Huh? Why? Okay. Why? Because you are just starting your research. Okay, and you are given 1/2 semester only, and you do not have the financial capacity to spread your study, to take a longer and bigger scope, and to stay longer, because you have your limited time to do that, limited finances. Okay, so the question, why do you have only 3? Ay kasi po, yun ang sabihin ninyo. Bakit? Pwede namang you can conduct a study of one person, one community. That can be a kind of research. Ngayon kung 5 na, kung 10 na, edi higit pa yun sa ano. Pero considering the population is big, why do you take only a few? Okay, so why, in spite of taking many of in the population, why do you have only such a number? So state it. That's your limitation. Okay? Now, definition of terms. Now, in your definition of terms, you are going to define terms that you have in your research, in your statement of the problem, in your title, okay, in your specific questions. These are your technical terms in your study. Now, if you do not include any terms, no, very important terms that probably you encounter in your readings, to define here and to explain in your definition of terms, to make your definition of terms in 3 pages. No. If you have some other terms you consider important for discussion, put the discussion in your related literature, in your chapter 2. But the terms that you are going to define here are found in your objectives, or not so much in your objectives, in your paradigm, in your statement of the problem, in your specific questions, in your title. You can even define students, okay, your respondents, because you are specifying these people. Okay, you can define the teachers, especially when you have your purposive. Why not include all teachers? So when you say teachers, there you mean teachers with difficulties in walking, teachers with, say, teachers who are heavyweight, like that, purposive. Okay, so you are going to define. You do not, okay, if you have there teachers, heavyweight teachers, okay, these are people, these are mentors with 200 pounds weight, the others who have less than 200 pounds in weight are not included, something like that. And they are what? Teachers in Laguna University, if that is your location. Ako, English major din ere. Si Miss Miranda ba English major? Hindi yata. Ewan ko. Okay, do you understand what we mean by definition of terms? Okay, every item in your definition of terms will be put in a paragraph. This is in a paragraph form. Your the term that you are going to define must be highlighted, and the term ends in period. The definition is in a complete statement, not just a phrase, not a clause, but a statement. And there are parts in your definition. So you are going to give uh, the annotative, the kumbaga yung general term na applicable to all. So dictionary word, kumbaga dictionary meaning you can give, that is the first. And then you are going to specific detail of the term. So actually the parts of your definition can be the term to define, the genera, the general idea, and the differentia, the specific characteristics of the term. So if you will say you have here pupils, mathematics pupils. Halimbawa, yon. Okay, so period. Sabi, the term refers to the learners. When we say learners of say geometry. Okay, learners is a general term for pupils or students. So they are, okay. And then, who are they? How are these that you are defining differentiated from other learners in the world? So you give the specifics. So these are learners in that elementary school that have zero knowledge in geometry when they are tested after the course. O, yun. So, specific. So, having zero knowledge after the course is the specific characteristic of the learners. And the specific characteristic defines your respondent, pupils of geometry. Okay? Alright. So I said your definition is in a paragraph form. And if there are 4 terms that you are going to define, there are 4 paragraphs. Okay? Alright. All the text here, no, from the beginning will be with 1.5 space. Now, the different, I would say, the distance between paragraphs is also 1.5. So, hindi na nag-i-space pa ng panibago. Okay. Paragraphs are separated with 1.5 space also. From the beginning, from the start up to the end of your thesis. Okay, do you have any question about chapter 1? Okay, now anyway, you have this. But okay, you see, when I look at these manuscripts during the proposal defense, I notice some of this. Okay, and that's why I emphasize this here. Okay, let's have the next slide. Next slide. Pagka tumigil, ayaw nang umandar, ngay. Saan ayaw nang umandar at makikita natin ang pag natagalan ang isang Okay, so yung susunod na bakit lagi mayroong space? Okay. Introduction na naman. Okay. Yung review of literature. So this is your second paragraph. Yan, Roman number nakalagay dito. So related studies, related literature, yun yung literature sa tapat ng related. Huwag magmadali. Alright, so we have here the theoretical framework, the conceptual framework. Now, what do you mean by related studies? You know this, that these are researches. These are your paragraphs that you have taken from thesis, dissertation, researches, like that. Reports. Yung related literature, ito ay mga paragraphs coming from books, magazines, newspapers, like that. But every quotation that you get, every paragraph that you get, any idea that you get from a source, whether from any that I mentioned, you have to indicate the persons, okay, to avoid plagiarism. Even ideas only, even if you use your own words, you still have to acknowledge the source, okay, of the idea. So later we will have here how to acknowledge using APA. What is APA? The American Psychological Association. Okay, we shall have that. Okay, in the literature, you have the books. Okay, now do not, all right, now in researches or in books, now some of you, very noticeable, put dates like 1914, 1999. Now, your date here means that you uh, get a copy of the book printed during that year, and the author of the book or the article from that book is such a person that you quote. Okay, probably the book where you got the author, okay, that wrote the article in 1900s or in 2001, 2010, okay, are new books. Now, your source will be the new book. No? So, that idea is taken from that new book. Okay? Now, the author of the new book, where you got it, must be the one that you are going to quote and the date of the book. And how will you indicate that the idea is not by the author of the book? So, reward by saying Aristotle mentioned in the book of like this, or the present author, say Cruz, the author of the book in 2015, that will do. Cruz mentioned that Aristotle was supportive of this digital learning. Right now, because the idea, okay, of Aristotle is taken from the book published very recently. Your literature quotation has that citation. So your book will be fresh and your idea is also fresh. Okay. So in your studies, in your literature, you have to include books or references, okay, mga published 7 years ago. And do you know, ideas in these books are already old. Imagine how long will the author of the book be able to complete and publish the book. Before the publication, probably he started to look for data that he included there mga 3 to 5 years earlier. So kung yan ay 2015 plus ang preparation niya ng 5 years, ang data medyo luma na rin. 10 years. Ay ang laki ng pagbabago ng 10 years. 3 years lang ngayon sa panahon ito, ang laki ng pagbabago eh. Ay yung pang maging 10 years. So, your data may not be supported by the very old, say, information you get from the old source. All right. Now, what ideas will you take from your references so that you will consider your ideas, the studies, the literature related to your work? How related? Are the ideas taken from your source supportive to your study or negative to your study? Do the authors that you have strengthen your hypothesis or weaken. Okay, whatever say purpose they have, whatever relation you have, you can include. Whether the idea of an author is weakening your study, include it. But you have to defend your study, showing that if that author does not consider our studies, I am okay. This study will prove that during his time, okay, this kind of study was unrelated, irrelevant. But our findings, our conclusions will deny the weakening idea of this author. Okay? Now, if the idea that you get from the books, from these sources, are strengthening, okay. If that author has that kind of idea, your work has the same ideas. So your ideas are congruent, okay? Because your respondents are also like this and like that. You make it very close by mentioning your respondents. If the ideas given by the authors here are about your respondents. You mention your statistics. If your statistics is the same as the statistics mentioned by that author of a certain study. If your readings have something to do with uh, your uh, your respondents, the way you uh, choose your respondents, state it. Sabi nyo, this author used say convenience say technique in choosing. Now in this study, okay, purposive is used. Okay, this study used as a table, ano man yun, or draw lots like that. So your related your review of related literature may discuss something about your problem, your respondents, the location. Sabihin niyo, ang kanyang pinag-aralan ay Palawan, itong sa akin ay sa Laguna. Pareho pala ang nangyayari sa Palawan at sa Laguna. Okay, so you have the relation. Okay, if in Batangas this is happening, well, in my study, this event, okay, was not observed, was not noted. Okay? So you have there how you will make your studies, your own study, okay, related to the previous studies and to the different literary works. Not literary, but literature. All right, and then your theoretical framework. Okay, now we studied theories and principles. Now, these theories and principles really came out from, say, studies like what you are doing. Okay, this used to be just a conclusion or generalization of a certain study. But this conclusion, okay, has been strengthened and found has been found to be the same in the next say study of the same topic. Now, when studies have the same results, they become firm. They turn to become principles acceptable by many, applied by many, or believed by your community, to become theory believed by many of the world. Okay, now what is the basis of your study? What theory, okay, uh, say, corresponds to your study? What theory do you have? Your study is an example. What result do you have in your study that can be defended by the jury? That it really is natural to happen, that the incident is happening really, that the problem, say, is very significant to study, because that also was studied even by these authors. So problems many years ago are still existing today based on the theory. Okay, I mentioned the author. So, ano yung mga theory na yan? Bakit we still have to open schools despite the pandemic? Why are we conducting digital when many are complaining? There are problems in digital learning. But why do we pursue? Why do we continue? And we do not mind the complaints of many, the problems encountered by many. What theory is there? Why are our schools, say, very insistent in conducting classes? What theory is there? Now, when you stop studying, when you are of school age, do you continue growing educationally? Okay, that will stop, say, formally. And what theory is there? Education is life. What else? In our constitution, what does our constitution say about continuous education? Okay. Is it really beneficial for our learners to learn out of digital, say, system? Probably you will say yes, and you are say, to defend yourself, proving that that is right, because education is search. Example, itong ating ALS. Ano ang ALS? That is informal. Okay? Itong sa ating, say, sa ating ginagawa ngayon digital. Okay. Although you do not see your teachers face to face, but you hear your teachers. You see, say, the instructional materials used. If in ALS, okay, simple materials, short time studies, okay, students progress. Okay, there's no reason why students of LU in digital system would not learn. So when okay, so what is the basis for ALS? That may be related to your studies. Okay. Education is a continuous process. Who said that? Is that believed by only a few? In, okay, internationally. Okay, that is the belief. You can take it. Okay. And from what book do you take it? Probably that was mentioned by not the one who formulated the theory, but that person who mentioned this can be reliable. Okay, you can take it as your source and taken from a new book, and then the date will be very recent. Okay, now your conceptual framework. Now, this is a very specific framework that corresponds to your paradigm. Your paradigm gives you the direction of what you are conducting. And this is a very specific, say, idea that makes you conduct that kind of study. Okay. All right. Now, so you have there the concept, specific concept. Okay. All right. Now, your study is not new. Actually, you are not the first to conduct that kind of study. There are already some people who have conducted that kind of study. Okay. Now, take the most famous that will support that it is just acceptable, okay, and beneficial to conduct that kind of study. So that can be your conceptual framework. That is specifically supporting your paradigm. And your paradigm is the direction of your statement of the problem, your specific problem. Do you have questions? Okay, now let's proceed to. Okay, so let's go back to our conceptual framework. The part of this is your paradigm. Ano ah? Okay. Now, in some of the manuscripts or in the proposal defense, you have there some interventions. You have there the suggested, say, project to improve the performance of the students. Okay, that is very important. What you propose is very important. State it, and that is your independent variable. So you have to put it there in your independent variable. If it is a throughput, or it is input, throughput, or output, it is what you are going to put in. So uh, what you are going to suggest to improve the performance of the pupils will be your input, will be your independent variable. Ha? So, ilalagay nyo yun. Yung iba, wala eh. Okay? Alright. And you have to devise a specific question about that. What does your intervention have. What components? That can be your description of the intervention. How will you describe the intervention? Are there parts? Are there components? So what are they? Okay, so this can be your first question. And your second question is the possible result, the benefits. So your dependent variable. And then your third is yung inferential. Now, giving your number one and your number two questions, the descriptions of this, okay, what are the parts, and when given to the students, what happened to them. All right, now, what are you? So there are two facts. There are two bits of information that you will get. What are you going to do with these two bits of information that you have there in your independent variable and dependent variable? What are you going to do with the data that you get? Okay, that too. All right, that is what you have in your third question. What are you going to do? Will you show the difference? Will you show the relationship? So you are going to ask a question. What is the relationship between number one and number two? What is the significant impact of number one to number two? Okay. Kaya ang inyong hypothesis ay there is or there is no significant impact between the two. Whether your answer is accepted, your hypothesis accepted or denied, there's no problem. Huwag niyo sabihin, hindi po accepted ang aking, the decision is not to accept. Abay, mali ang aking gawa. No. Your work, as long as you follow the process, is not wrong. Although the result is that your study does not support your hypothesis. Okay? Okay. Kung hindi, probably, yun ang lalabas sa inyong ano. If this in your independent variable does not work, does not improve the performance, then there can be another. All right, suggest that future researchers may look for another intervention to completely improve the performance of these pupils. Yun for the next, yun ang pwedeng palagay na last recommendation. Okay? Sige. 3-minute break before we go to research methodology. Hello? Hello? Are you still there?
Yes
Yes
po, ma'am.
po.
Yes po, ma'am.
Alright, so we have the methodology of research. Okay, research design. Okay, so this is the methods that you are going to use. Okay, mention the method and then tell why this is chosen to be used in your study. Research local. Now, do not put there the map taken from the computer, from the internet. Just draw a road map so that anybody can locate the place where you conduct your study. Okay, population of the study and the specific. This includes the specific individuals. So how many, say, the total number, and then how many did you get, how did you get, how did you choose your respondents, okay, and then explain why that process is the most applicable, and you must have there the source. Research instrument. Okay, so what uh, what are the instruments? Okay, so you have observation, you have interview, you have questionnaire. Now, whether it is observation, questionnaire, or interview, you have to specify the parts of your instrument. If it is interview, what are you going to ask? How many questions will you ask? In your observation, what are you going to observe? When will it be? And why are you going to observe? If it is a questionnaire, how many parts of the questionnaire do you have? About what? How many items are there in each part? How will this be answered? Who will answer this? Okay. How will you combine these people that will be involved in your uh, interview, in your observation, in your questionnaire? How will you combine? How will you contact them? Okay. How? Okay. So what will you do in order to negotiate with them? So may letters, personal, and so on. Data gathering. How will you do this? Okay, yun na. Kung paano ikakandak ito. Are you going to make a study? Are you going to hold a class? Okay, details about how will you conduct. And then treatment of data, statistics. Okay, now we have here results and discussion. Your chapter 4, during the early days when we were still students, chapter 4 is was entitled Presentation, Analysis, and Interpretation of Data. So in other words, before you come up with the result, you have to say you have your results, no? Results in the conduct of your instrument, okay, and then the discussion. If this is in form of a table, okay, so what are these? Now, pati dito sa atin sa LU, merong kanyang style na ang ating, di ba, sabi ko, presentation, analysis, and interpretation. Yung presentation of data ay was it done? Through tables, through graphs like that, or by paragraphs. Usually noon ay nasa unahan yan, present agad. Okay? At sa ilalim noon ay discussion, analysis of what significant say figures you have in the table. Ay dito sa ating bago, ay ang table ay sa huli, after the discussion. So you discuss first your results, to find out, okay? That is, when you say results, findings. Discuss this first. Ngayon, meron na kayong table, pero hindi pa lang nakalagay sa unahan. Doon na kayo magre-refer sa table. Okay, later I will show you how to write, to prepare the table. Pero dito sa analysis, you will consult or refer to the table, and you are going to say discuss only the significant, the most significant say data, the most significant entry in each cell. Okay, kung lahat ay about sa achievement ay 50% ay perfect, that's very noticeable, that is very significant. Walang nakakuha ng zero, okay, yung walang nakakuha ng zero, significant din yan. Yung kalahati nakakuha ng zero, very significant yan. Yung nakakuha ng tatlo ay hindi, tatlo ay hindi, tatlo ay hindi, zero, hindi na yung mahalaga. Ang mahalaga doon ay bakit kalahati ay zero, or bakit kalahati ay perfect. So yun ang i-analyze. So that your discussion will not be very long, especially if the table is long. At tapos, doon sa, yun ang analysis. Ang analysis of data ay yung explanation doon sa significant area, noticeable, unique, sa unique data. Unique yung, biruin mo, 90% ay perfect or 90% ay zero. Very unique. Tapos, yung mga reasons, ngayong discussion, yan ay tuloy na para bigay ay interpretation. How do you interpret your 90% all perfect scores? How about 80% zero? What is the interpretation? Yung nakalagay sa inyong observation, sa mga itatanong, sa ino-obserbahan, yung questionnaire items ay will explain why you have their 100 or 90% perfect score. Pwedeng yon ang i-contain ninyo sa chapter 4. Okay? So, yung nasa questionnaire ninyo, hindi yan ilalagay laang sa appendix. Yan ay inyong ilalagay sa may chapter 4 kung saan nararapat. So your discussion will be there because that explains the answers given by your respondents. Diba, mayroon kayong mga tanong, sasagutan ng respondents. Yun ang reason kung bakit lahat ay ganun ang sagot. Eh di anong ibig sabihin? Kung anong nakalagay doon sa inyong questionnaire items, ay inyong ilalagay sa inyong chapter. Kung there are 4 questions, there are 4 presentations of data. So 4 tables, 1 table for each question. Kung ang isang question ay mayroong 2 tables kayong gagawin, alam nyo, para masabi na all the 2 tables are corresponding to the question number 1, pwedeng 1A, 1B table. Table 1A, table 1B. That will indicate that the 2 tables are responses to question number 1. Ay, pero parang ang gusto sa LU, kung tatlo ang table sa question number 1 ay table 1, table 2, table 3. Yun nga lang ang ay hindi mai-specify kung yung 3 ay sa number 1 pa rin. Question number 1 pa rin. At yung susunod na table number 4 ay ito sa question number 2. Pero parang yun ang gusto. Pero nung minsan kami nagpulong tungkol doon, ayun ang sinabi ko. Pero yari na ang anong pangalan nito? Yung handbook. Okay, so kung anong nasa handbook ay isa natin susundin at baka pag yari na ay hindi tanggapin, may pagbabagong gagawin. Okay? At tapos yung chapter 4, yun ang ganun na chapter 4. Tapos ang chapter 5 ay ang summary. At tingnan natin kung ano ba nakalagay sa chapter 5. Results. Ayan. Summary, conclusions, and recommendation. Okay. Itong summary, itong tatlong ito, parang yung nando sa abstract. Pero ito, hindi na nyo iisa-isahin ang questions dyan. Yung makikita ninyo yung mga, kung may yung mga dati, ay sa summary nakalagay pa rin ang of course, yun nakalagay ang methods of yung respondents, place, conducted, yung kasama yun. Pero ang questions hindi na. Pwedeng summarize ninyo yung objective, general objective yun sa summary. Tapos say dapat nakalagay din dito ay yung findings, pero nakalagay ay conclusions. So yung final results. At dito kasi dito hindi na ilalagay. Ang findings na lang ang isusunod. O finding number 1 ito yung summary doon sa chapter 4 na mayroong table. Okay, ang table ay sa ilalim ng discussion. Okay, yung summary doon ay doon kayo magdo-draw ng finding. Finding number 1, finding number 2, finding number 3. So, sa findings ay naandun yung mga significant figures. So, say 90% of these students got 100, say perfect scores in the examination. Yun ang findings. And kung meron pang conductor, and nobody got 0. O kung ang resulta naman 90% of the students got 0. That is your finding. Okay? So, 1, 2, 3, yun ang ilalagay dyan. Dito sa conclusion, halos pwedeng isa lang ang conclusion. Ang conclusion ay po pwedeng yung sagot lamang sa hypothesis. Ang conclusion, there is no significant effect of the intervention on the academic performance of the elementary pupils. You can mention the intervention. There is no significant effect of digital learning on the performance of the students. Yun ang conclusion. Alright, now, dito sa recommendations, lagi yung plural. Kung 4 ang questions, 4 plus 1 ang recommendation. Sa number 1, ang tanong ay tungkol sa nakalagay sa independent variable. Ano recommendation para sa independent variable? If the independent variable has 3 portions, okay, ang recommendation ay baka dagdagan ang portion. Ang recommendation is something that when a person, an authority makes a change, there will be an improvement. Ang recommendation ay laging active voice. At ang subject ay yung iniisip ninyo na siya makagagawa ng inyong i-recommend. Sa number 2, kung yan ay did not get effect in grade 6 or in grade 3, the use of the intervention, it might be used in the higher level. Okay, so kanino nyo i-recommend yun? Sa students? Students should be given, okay, students in the higher level must be given that kind of intervention. Okay, sa ganun klaseng recommendation, kanino nyo inire-recommend yun? Kung ganon ang statement sa inyong recommendation. Wala. Pero kung sasabihin ninyo na curriculum planners must or may, huwag yung must, at para naman kayo nag-uutos, suggestion lang eh. Curriculum planners may use this intervention to the higher level in the elementary grades. So, sino ang gagawa nga? Curriculum planners. Or, school principals may employ this kind of intervention to improve, possibly improve the performance of the grade 6 pupils. So, in other words, mention the people you think can implement your suggestion. Tutukuyin kung sino ang iniisip ninyo na pag gumawa niyan ay mariresolve ba. Pero kung bitin, hindi naman, the student should be given like that. Who will give? The student should be taught this way. These strategies should be employed in the high school. Who will employ? Kaya sabi na, instructors in the college must employ these strategies to truant students. Yun. Ito po kung sino. Okay? Sa recommendation. Alright. And then you have here your references. Okay? So para itong bibliography. Maya meron tayong bibliography dyan. Appendices, ito yung lahat ng inyong ginamit. Yung questionnaire and so on. Lahat, pati yung mga computation dito. Kung ano bang letters, yung mga letters na ipinadala, pwede diyan sa appendices. Yan. Yung questionnaire, kung yan ay observation, yung mga structured observation and interview nakalagay dyan. Ito yung mga sulat nakalagay, mga ginamit na statistics andyan. Itong curriculum vitae, medyo pantay nyo dito sa appendix. Curriculum vitae, kinakalam may picture at may pirma. Okay? Okay, so, yan na. Alright, next. Tingnan natin ito ha. Ito. Yung style guide for preparing research manuscript. Nakalagay na naman pangalan ko pero ito ay galing sa ating manual. Itong pangalan ko ay para lang makilala ninyo ako. Kasi iba sa inyo hindi ko naging eskwela. Ang iba namang naging eskwela pag ako yung nilimutan. Okay, so ito po na. Ayan, yung page style, okay, utilize white letter size paper 6.5 by 11 at ang papel na gagamitin ay substance 20. Even for proposal manuscript, pagka na final na kayo, substance 20. Okay, at yung official paper natin, yung mayroong logo ng LU. So kung yan ay digital naman, hindi naman ninyo ipiprint yan, doon sa ipadadala ninyong digital copy, soft copy, kinakailangan may logo. Okay? At ito din ang sukat. Okay. Set page margin. Ang margin simula ay pare-pareho ha. 1.25 left. So mas malaki sa left. Ang right ay 1 lang. Ang top 1, bottom 1. Okay? At yung mga position ng page number ay sa upper right corner. So kung ito ang papel nyo dito sa lugar na ito, dito. Do not put page numbers on the first page of each chapter. Doon sa may chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, walang page number pero kabilang. Ano? Included. Pati diretso ang numbering hanggang sa dulo ng appendices. Sa preliminary page, acknowledgement, walang i dito, abstract, etc. Iyan ay naka-attach, kabit yan. At ito ang mga numbering nila. Yung small numeral numbers. Are numbered sa right hand corner din, dito din sa kanila. Sa kanan din, sa itaas din ang page number ng lahat. Alright, so ito sa paggawa ng paragraph, di ba pagka puno na ang isang page, ay mag-iiwan kayo ng 2 lines. Kaya kung ito ang guhit, ito ang margin, 1 inch, dito ay 1 inch, at dito ay 1.5. At puno na at may kasunod pa, halimbawa ire, iwanan na ninyo ang 2 lines. So dito, bukod dito sa 1, yung margin na ito, ay may
Ma'am, excuse
yes.
po.
Yes, oo.
Ma'am
Ano?
SJ po. Ma'am, alam po yung hindi po namin kita yon, ma'am. Ano po yung may mga margins na pinapakita niyo po?
Dito sa modify. Pero yung Roman number 6, kita nyo, yung modify each paragraph.
Number 5 pa lang po, ma'am. Summary, conclusions, and recommendation po nakapost.
Okay. Ito?
Opo.
Hindi, itong preliminary pages na meron kayo.
Wala po kaming nakikita, ma'am. Sa yung 5 pa lang po, summary, conclusions, and recommendation po nakapost.
Teka, sandali ha.
Opo.
Ang ibig niyo sabihin, itong style guide, ito hindi niyo nakikita?
Hindi po, ma'am.
Oo. Sandali ha. Baka nahihiya. Thank you, ma'am ha. Kasi
Apa, ma'am.
malayo na pala hindi nakikita. Ano?
Opo.
Ay, kasi Study guide. Oo, ito na yung pagka sila ay nagsusulat na. Ayan ma'am, kita na ba? Hindi pa rin.
Yes, ma'am.
Sandali ha. Konting oras na lang, siguro nangangalahati na tayo. Kita na niyo, ma'am? Hello? Kita na ho?
Yes po, ma'am. Kita na po.
Style guide for
Style guide for
preparing.
preparing research manuscript. Apa, ma'am.
Alright, sige. Oo, sige. Thank you, ma'am.
Apa,
So
ma'am.
ito, hindi niyo nakita. Ang papel natin gagamitin ay letter size, yung 8.5 at saka 11 ang laki. Short, parang gano'n. Substance 20. Kahit yan proposal pa lamang. Nung sa proposal natin, ay ganito ang ating ginamit. So, yung nagkukumpleto ng proposal, pinagaganda, dito nyo isusulat. Dito sa ating pagka-final manuscript na, ay ganito din, pero yung may logo ng LU. Ay ngayon, hindi naman ito ipiprint, kaya dito sa ating soft copy ay laging may logo ang bawat page. Hindi na yung bibilhin, di-design na lang. Okay. Yung margin, ito yon. Sa bawat page ay sa left ay 1.5, sa right ay ganyan. Yan ang margin ng lahat ng pages. At ang bawat page ay dito sa right na andito ang page number. Okay? Pero walang page number kahit kabilang sa number ang lahat ng page na mayroong salitang chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4. Yon ay yung mga chapter na yun, laging bagong page, laging nasa ibabaw yung salitang yon. Kahit na ang huling page bago yung chapter ay malaki pa ang space. Laging nasa bago. Huwag iduduktong sa anumang page ang chapter page. At yon ay kabilang halimbawa yung last ay page 21, ang bagong ang chapter 2 ay dapat page 23 ang susunod 24. Yung 23 hindi na ilalagay dito, pero yung kasunod 24. At continuous ang numbering hanggang sa appendices. Ang appendices natin abot hanggang yung curriculum vitae. Kaya bago kayo maglagay ng page, sabagay naman yan digital naman dali magbura. Sa preliminaries, ito din ang mga pages. Itong alsin na dito sa acknowledgement. Ayan. Mga may pages doon sa una. Small Roman numerals ang ilalagay na number. Pero yung nagsimula sa chapter ay ano bang number yon? Arabic number ba yon? Yung 1, 2, 3. Ito Roman number Ay ano ba yung 1, 2, 3, anong klaseng number yun?
Hindu-Arabic po, ma'am.
Hindu?
Opo, Hindu-Arabic numerals po.
Hindu-Arabic. Okay. Title page. Presents no number. Yan, yung una. Okay? Pero as number 1 yun. Okay? Approval sheet has no number but level 2. Okay? So, approval sheet walang number ha. Okay. Ayan, ito ang ating Yung modify each sa paragraph. If you must break a paragraph, Okay, kasi halimbawa, mahaba yung paragraph, ay pag itutuloy natin, aabot hanggang dito sa sayad na doon sa margin, di ba? May margin ditong 1, margin dito i-1. Hindi natin pasasayarin dito sa number, sa halos kadikit na ng margin. May pagitan na ilipat na yung 2 lines na dapat ilalagay dito, ilipat na sa next page. Kaya ang ating mga pages dito ay laging angat ng 2 lines sa margin. For this paragraph continue. Ayan, typography at saka paragraph style. Ayan, ang gagamitin natin sa lahat ay 12 point at saka Cambria sa text. Okay. Ito yung meron akong ginawan sample, baka ma-encounter natin mamaya. Ito, follow this. Tingnan ninyo ito, sabi Cambria, kung ito yung Cambria. Tapos, yung paragraph ay ang indentation ay 5 spaces. So, ito halimbawa, itong paragraph dito, 5 ba yan? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yan. Ganito ang indentation. 5. 5 yan. At saka follow these specifications in all paragraphs. Justify. So, tuwid dito. Ita-justify. Lahat naka-justify. Okay? At ang bawat line, ito, hindi ito single space between lines. Ito ay 1.5. Hindi double. Hindi 2 spaces. Hindi 2 spaces. So, 1.5 ito, yung between line. Pag sinabi natin double space, ay di bali 3. Bali 3 ang layo nun. Kasi, ang single ay 1.5. Pag tinobol ay 1.5 plus 1.5, ayun ang space. Yun ay ginagamit sa pagitan ng salitang chapter at saka ng title at saka yung susunod, yung beginning paragraph after the title of the chapter. Double space. Pag double space, dalawang 1.5. Pero iipod lang, i-click lang. Ito walang click eh. Walang click sa space kasi naka-ano na ito, naka-program na. Okay. Bold, all caps. Okay. Yung chapter, capital, chapter 1, all caps, center to center. Roman number and chapter. Leave 2 spaces between chapter label and chapter title. Kaya nga, yung 2 spaces ay 1.5 at saka 1.5 yun. Ganyan kaya kalaki yun. Parang ganyan rin, isang space yun. No? So, from the word chapter and then introduction, ganito space. From introduction at saka yung beginning paragraph, ganito ang space. Double. Double ng 1.5. So, kumbaga sa typewriter, ibinagal. Yung for the second level heading, yung ano ba yung second level heading? Halimbawa doon sa inyong related literature, ang first level heading ay yung related literature Tapos yung second level ay kung yan ay related studies, second level yon. 12 points, 12 points din. Cambria din, bold din. Capital lowercase. Ano ibig sabihin ng capital lowercase? Ito ay all caps, yung introduction. Itong Cambria ay capital lowercase. Capital itong una at small letters ang huli. Center to center din. Center of the page. Third, level, headings. Cambria, ganun din, parang ganito. Flash left. Itong pangatlong level ay flash left dito naman sa tabi. Ito yung unang title, pangalawang title. Yung heading kasi title yan eh. Title. Unang title, pangalawang title, pare-pareho sa gitna. Yung susunod ay din sa tabi. Tabi. Anong example nun? Kung kayo ang dito ay nakalagay related studies or related related studies, nandito din yun ang pangalawa, second level. Sa related studies nyo ay concentrated kayo sa intervention, halimbawa ay digital learning. Okay, dito ang lagay nun, yun ay third level heading. Ibig sabihin, dinidiscuss ninyo sa related studies ang tungkol sa digital learning. Ano-ano ang pwedeng ilagay dito? Yung i-discuss ninyo na nasa paradigm. Kasi ang inyong related literature ay support noong mga nasa paradigm, na pinalawak ninyo ang inyong understanding tungkol sa mga variables. So yung mga variables ang nakalagay dito ay third level heading yun. Kaya nakasulat dito, sino ang author ng nagsasabi ng tungkol dito sa variable na ito. Kaya kung lahat ng variables specifically ilalagay nyo dito, kung 10 yun, 10 dito ang inyong third level heading. Okay. Ay kung masyado ng madami pa kayong mga heading ay abot hanggang dito. Ay yung pang-apat naman na heading ay bold din, Cambria din. Either na anong underline, yung underscore or yung guhit, pero pwede din na kapareho na caps and lowercase. Ayan, ito na yung table natin, sample ng table na nakalagay. Saan ilalagay ang table? Before or after the discussion? After the discussion. Okay, ang bawat table ay mayroong title. Okay, 11 points lang, hindi 12. Pero bold din, Cambria din, basta lahat ay Cambria. Okay, at capitalized. Okay, only the first line of the first word. Okay, so capitalize only the first letter of the first word. Pero kung ang word ay proper noun, capital proper noun, kasi yung halimbawa ang title ay maraming words, yun lang una ang capital. At yung mga succeeding ay hindi na. Pero kung proper name naman ang kasunod ay capital. And do not end the title of tables in period. at yan ay flush left. Ano ibig sabihin ng flush left? Kung ito ang table, ang title dito sa side dito, sa tabi, sa halos kapantay noong table. May sample tayo dyan. Okay, indent succeeding line of the title. Kung ang title ng table ay dalawang line, okay, indent. Single space. Heading should follow 10 to 12 points. All caps, center in each cell. So, ano yung cell? Ang cell ay yung entry, yung data. Kung yan ay yung bang parang graph na may guhit-guhit, ay sa gitna, halimbawa 2, 10, ay center to center yun. Yung entry is center. Label all tables consecutively using Arabic numerals. Table 1, okay, data in tables should be 10 to 12 points. Okay, so pwedeng ganun din. Bold, flash left, all text in cells, also center all numerals in cells, but align. Naka-center pero align. Okay, put tables immediately after they are discussed in the text. So ito yun, sa ilalim talaga. Ano? For long tables, summarize data and highlight only important variables. For print tables, using landscape. Kung mahaba ang table, i-landscape na ang pagkakaprint. Kung hindi na mamaliit lang, o edi portrait na rin. Round off figures to 2 decimal points only. Do not use grid lines on table. So, hindi yung parang graph. May sample. Hindi graph. Basta pantay-pantay lang ang guhit. Ito, yan. Itong title na ito, hindi dito nakaangat na lapat ito dito at saka flash left dito ang magsisimula yan. Itong table 5 dito nakalagay ha. Hindi ko lang maiipod eh. Oh, yan, pagka iniipod nawawala, ayaw. Ay hindi Teka. Papunta na tuloy ng tampo. Ayan. Ito dito ay dito nakalagay pero dapat ay dito ha. Flash left ang tawag. Ito ang heading ng table. Ang sabi ay capital letters lahat. Ito ang ating cell. Ito ay cell. Ngayon, ang sabi ay huwag masyadong lagyan ng grid line. Kaya walang guhit. Dito lang meron. So, huwag kalayuan para hindi baka akala mo itong high ay 11, itong high ay 30, 21, ang total ay ito. Okay, see figures. Okay, capitalized. Okay, proper nouns. Yun ang yan sinasabi. Last name, yung mga figures. Yun na yun. Kahit na figures, graph, or charts ay laging nasa ilalim ng discussion. Okay. Use, pag gumagamit tayo ng numbers, spell out numbers 1 to 9. Pagka inilagay sa, okay, isinulat, textual, sa paragraph pagka nagdi-discuss, hindi yung word, hindi O-N-E, ito lang hanggang 9. Okay. Pero pagka 10 onwards, ay sulat ang buong salitang 10. T-E-N. Okay. Ayan, ito ang sample. For 2 months. Pero kung halimbawa, yung 2 at saka yung 9 ay beginning the sentence ay spell out. Do not begin a sentence in figure or in number. Ha? Kaya kahit sa text, buuin na yun. Sa text, maraming violation doon. Okay? Sa beginning sentence, ay huwag lalagay ng figure lang. Spell out. Ganun din sa percentage. Hindi yung salitang percent, but simple. Okay? 18%. Pero kung yung percent ay mauuna sa sentence, sulat. Kasi ang number at saka figures ay pag nasa gitna ng textual, ng text discussion ay yan, ganito lang. Ay meron namang ibang bata pagka gumamit ng pag nasa gitna yung I am Pedro, okay, I am Pedro, my mad, okay, I always call, pag nasa gitna ng sentence yung I small letter, okay, bakit small letter? Pero pagka beginning of the sentence yung kanyang I ay capital, hindi yung kabilang doon, ha? Anywhere yung I am, yung I, first person personal pronoun, maski yan kung saan lugar ng sentence na doon, lagi capital. Ito naman yung colored pictures. Okay? Yan. No? Pwede naman. Okay, yung marami niyan ay sa appendix na rin ilalagay. Kung halimbawa nagpunta kayo sa Pililla, nagdaan kayo dito sa may sa merong windmills, ang dami ninyong picture doon, pwede isa lang ilagay ito, illustrate. Pero yung other pictures ay sa appendix na ilalagay. Para lang makita na totoong kayo nagpunta doon for documentation. Okay, so ito yung ating APA. Alam niyo yung APA? American Psychological Association. Yan ang mga ginagamit natin sa ngayon. Yung printing, okay, pagka ipiprint na, ibubuuin na ay sa Laguna University papers, including appendices and curriculum vitae. Kaya noon, kapag yan ay inyong bubuuin na hard copy, bibili kayo sa research center nito. Kaya kung halimbawa ay 5 copies na tig 50 to 150 pieces ang bibilhin ninyo na ganito. Or isang copy lang, tapos si Xerox na, ay pareho rin naman ang presyo. Yan, yung mga language, yan. Ang title ay should not be more than 13 words.